Hey guys, welcome to Night Owls. Hey Sasha, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good, it's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, guys, it's a couple things. First of all, welcome. We do this show. I don't know. We have it officially Friday nights, but some nights we do it on Thursday. It just depends on Sasha when she gets off work or if she's coming to the house. But typically it's Friday nights, and this is a show we don't really have a lot of prep, and we go as long as we get questions or comments. And you can send super chats, rants on Rumble. We're on Rumble, and there's power chats. I already got a power chat. We'll go over that, and we just talk about movies or politics or whatever's hits our fancy. And one thing I wanted to let everyone know on my Gumroad subscribers, Gumroad is having an issue, and it's not on my end, where some of my emails aren't going out, and it's weird. So I'm gonna like Sasha didn't get notification on my roundtable tonight, and
Well, I
I
couldn't even get on it at all. Like it
really
wasn't even showing up on the last thing it's showing that you've done on my end is something on October 11th. And that was like over a week ago.
yeah, and I have a lot more
So,
stuff out there.
yeah.
So I think some people are seeing it, but others aren't. So Uh, it's on Gumroad's end because I have posted it. I'm not a real big fan of Gumroad, but I have most of my
Mhm.
people there. So one option, and I just recommend it as Sasha, is you can always subscribe to me on Twitter, and you'll get the same stuff. Like I do my private videos for Gumroad. I put it on GroupApp and Substack, but I also put it on Twitter. And it'd be nice if everything was on X or Twitter. And you get the roundtables on X or Twitter too. So that might be a way to go. So I'm hoping Gumroad gets their act together and fixes it. They changed their payment, some of that too, that you have to have a credit card. And I didn't realize it. Someone told me that. So hopefully they get it fixed up, but it's been a little bit buggy. So sorry about that, but that's not on my end. And speaking of power chats, where I got one by Sundowner. Hi, Rams, from your friends in Australia. I love Australia. I think we worked out why Kamala is so unlikable. She is half Indian and half you know what. Yeah. Uh, well, I honestly, that is part of it. She's a very strange woman, I've said many times, where she doesn't really have much of a connection to America. She's not your traditional black American by any means. Her mother's Indian. She was raised in Canada. And she then when she came back to the United States, she was in San Francisco, that radical politics there. She seems like a person without much of an identity. And for the shit libs, that's like their ideal goal in the future. We're all mixed up. There's no identities. We're all brown or whatever. That's one of their. We breed the white race out of existence. They
Right.
really
Which
do
is
believe
which is stupid.
that's kind of their goal. And so she kind of represents that. She's like, who knows exactly what she is? Uh, because she used to mostly run on her Indian identity, and now she's doing the black thing. I I just think she's a really poor politician because she's never had to really do politics. She got her first position with Willie Brown by sleeping with him. Then she was a vice president of the United States. She was a DEI pick, and that's what Joe Biden said. He picked her because she's a woman of color or black and female. So she's is very entitled. She doesn't handle criticism well. You can tell she kind of recoils, and she won't answer honestly. She's not that bright, and she's supposed to be a hard person to work with, and a foul mouth, and a very unpleasant woman. It's kind of funny. It's when if someone tells you about how they're all about joy, you can bet they're a total bitch and angry all the time.
Well, isn't Oprah supposed to be a bitch too that like abused her workers and
Mhm.
stuff? And she always comes across like, oh, joy.
Yeah, it's like one of those women that used to always take assertiveness classes. They're always the women that are total bitches anyway. They don't need it, but they think they need to be more assertive. And that's the way they are. They kind of project. So Yeah, Kamala's off-putting. She didn't win the Democrat nominee primary in 2020. She did horrible. One of the first to drop out. And this kind of just landed in her lap. I would feel sorry for her, but she's so horrible that I don't. So we will see. So do you have any insights as to why she's unlikable?
Um, she's just really fake. I think if she was just more relatable, she comes off like a robot.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like she just kind of does what people tell her and she doesn't have a personality. She's just an empty suit.
Well, she
And people
doesn't.
can't relate to
Yeah,
that.
I don't think she really has much of her ideology or opinions. And that's why when a question is asked her, she tries to weasel around it always. And that's where you get the word salad
Yeah.
because she doesn't want to answer directly. And she won't answer directly. She'll go on a tirade about something else.
Well,
And
she
I think,
just seems like she doesn't have a clue of what she's doing with anything. She's so dumb. Like you said,
yeah,
she has bad instincts and she does like not going to that Al Smith dinner. That was a big mistake. That could have really helped her campaign for people middle of the road if she had gone to that maybe and just came off as a person. Because you know the media would have kissed her ass and it would have been everywhere.
yeah. Did you see tonight? In fact, I just posted it because they just posted it. Trump was on Joe Rogan for about
Yeah,
3 hours.
Brandon told me, but I said I would watch it at home because I don't have ad
Hmm.
blocker on my phone at work, and I figured that
I
there would be
I just
some.
saw yeah, I just saw the first few minutes. It was pretty good. Joe Rogan also invited Kamala, but she refused.
Oh, see, she
The
should have gone.
well,
That's
the
what I
reason
mean.
yeah, the reason is because they said uh with Trump said you ask me whatever you want, I'm fine. Whereas Kamala had a whole list or her campaign of things that he wasn't allowed to ask.
Oh, so
And
that was a mistake.
that's just typical Kamala, right?
What does
So
he? What does she think he's going to ask? Like, did you suck Willie Brown to get in your position
no,
where you are?
he would just ask her tough questions and he'd probably push back when she gave her bullshit answer like, "Oh, if you supported everything that Biden did and then why didn't you do anything about the border sooner? You were the border czar." And then if she started rambling on, she's from a middle class family. She likes to raise people up, not pull them down, and just ramble on off the subject. Joe may just say, "No, that's all nice, but you're not answering my question." And I think that would put fear into her. She wouldn't know how to handle that.
I'm surprised he's having Trump on. He wouldn't have him on before.
Yeah, I thought they get along. I thought they got along, then they had a spat. Now they're getting along again. That's one thing Trump does. He gets into fights with people, but then they kiss and make up.
They do.
So it's I that's how he is. So I'm not really surprised about
Did you
that.
ever see the Joe Rogan with Steven Crowder? And they
No,
got in this big fight about marijuana. Like it was really funny. And like he got like really pissed. Like Joe Rogan was making fun of him and stuff. And it went on forever. It was
really,
like a long yeah, it was good. They had one with Gavin McInnes that was funny too, where he went on for a long time and he's real drunk and he's just telling crazy stories to Joe. They had a
you know,
good chemistry.
yeah. I don't think Joe Rogan is especially smart, but he's a pretty good interviewer. He kind of gets people to open up and stuff, and I think that's his secret. He gets a lot of good
Well,
guests.
it's more conversation with him than so
Yeah.
many questions. You know what I mean? It'd be like how we kind of sit down and talk. I think that's kind of how it is with, I don't know if he prepares much.
Well, like I just saw the very beginning of the Trump interview, and he said, "What's it like when you're actually president, like the first day?" And then, Trump was saying, "Oh, it's really surreal," and he just described it. So it was just, I didn't watch the whole thing yet. Obviously, it just dropped, but yeah. And see, Trump was comfortable in that type of thing, just talking with people, whereas Kamala is very scripted, and she can't handle that situation very well,
Right.
which is really bad for a politician. JD Vance would do well on that type of thing.
It
And
would be
some,
surreal to be the president because it's like
yeah,
a job we've all dreamed of having, but it's like not very many people get to have that job.
yeah,
And
it would be strange, that's for sure.
and you don't have to have a college education, so technically like any of us could run for president.
Hmm.
Now we wouldn't get in, but it's like if you trained and done everything right early on and had a career, but you couldn't make all these mistakes and then, oh, I'm going to run for president. Like you never could because of your political beliefs. They would never nominate you.
Well, who
You'd be
knows?
too you'd
I'm
be
not
too
going to do it,
radical
but
for
never.
them.
Yeah, you never say never. Who knows? This thing's. I'm not, but I'm just saying that the Overton lingo has shifted so much that I hear a lot of mainstream people basically sound like me now.
I'm sorry, I'm getting over a cold.
Yeah, Sess has a cold. She's getting over it. So, yeah, I hope you feel better soon here.
Just talking makes my throat dry and then I cough.
Yeah, yeah. I know how that can be. It seems like it's been kind of a long week. We've had a lot of stuff going on, and it's been busy, that's for sure.
It
We have
has.
a friend, I won't say his name, but he's from the Pacific Northwest, and he came in and we went to Hugo's. That's a kind of iconic hamburger place. Is in the basement
It's
of
really
a
good.
downtown area, the college area of Fayetteville, and it's always packed no matter the time of day. It's pretty good. They have good hamburgers, and like I said, it's iconic. So we met him there, and we talked to him. We met him before. He's a real nice guy, and we're going to meet him again tomorrow. So it's nice when to visit people. We have a lot of good people, so that's good to know. And then
Yeah.
earlier this week, actually, when he flew in, one of the reasons I didn't do my show on Wednesday is I took Sacha, and Sacha was taking one of her friend's daughter to Tulsa, and there was that corn concert that Sacha and this girl went to. I went to the casino in
Yeah.
near Tulsa. I'm not a big gambler. I just kind of goofed off around there a little bit because it didn't interest me. Well, it's so expensive too. How much were the tickets you said for?
$300.
Man, that's just outrageous. That's
I was fine to get nosebleed. I really was, but she wanted she wanted good seats.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what it is like younger people now. Like when I was 17, I went to a concert with like friends. And it wasn't like my dad was like, you have to stay with them at all times. Like he could give a shit. And it's like, this is kind of how like my friend was like, you make sure you stay with Sacha the whole time. And it's like, she's 16. It's like we didn't have to sit together really, but I guess some people have to sit with somebody because I would have been like, you can pay $300 and sit up close and I'll sit like more in the back. And she wanted to do the mosh pit because that's way up in the front, but sure, mom didn't want her to do it. And I said, I'm too old for the mosh pit. So
yeah,
I don't need to get bruised and battered. But then I don't know. She said the mosh pit didn't look like there was very much going on in it. So maybe there was just people standing around. Corn fans are getting kind of old. Do they really want to be in there?
They're in there with their
banging into each other?
mobility scooters, bumping each other like bumper cars. Maybe that's what
Yeah.
the mosh pit is. Yeah. Have you ever been in a mosh pit?
No, I never wanted to go in a mosh pit. I mean, it might be fun if you're jumping on the people, but I'd be afraid. What if they didn't catch me? Because Brandon told a story. His sister went to a concert and her girlfriend, and there was a bunch of girls, I guess, and some guy tried to jump and they all spread out. And nobody held him up. He just hit the ground. So I wouldn't want that to happen.
We got a rant from Rojas. Hey, Rojas, good to see you. The most interesting point made by Rogan here on Trump. Thoughts, Ramsey, Sacha? Okay, there's a clip here of Rogan, so let's just take a look at this. And I haven't, obviously this just dropped, so I haven't seen this myself, so we'll be seeing this new together.
But there's probably no one in history that I've ever seen that's been attacked the way you've been attacked and the way they've done it, so coordinated and systematically. And when you see those same people in the past, very favorable to you, like Oprah, when you were on Oprah's show,
very.
She was encouraging you to
Last
be
week,
president.
I did one of her last shows. I think maybe Thursday or Friday. That was a big deal being on Oprah's show, the last one. And I was like one of the last shows in that final week.
But it's...
yeah, it's about the tax, I guess, that Trump had.
Boy, Trump had a lot of makeup on.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't notice that. Let me take a look at this again. Yeah, I'm going to show it to you guys so we can look at Trump's makeup. I guess before you go on these shows, they put makeup on you, right?
Been attacked the way you've been attacked and the way they've done it so coordinated and systematically. And when you see those same people in the past, very favorable to you, like Oprah, when you were on Oprah's show,
Very.
she was encouraging you to
Last
be
week,
president.
I did one of her last shows. I think
He was on her show last week. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
maybe Thursday or Friday. That was a big deal being on Oprah's show, the last one. And I was like one of the last shows in that final week.
But it's
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't know what he's talking about for sure, but yeah, he. I'm trying to think back. Reagan was attacked a lot by the media, and Nixon.
Bush was.
Of course, I was too young to understand Nixon, but
W. Well, they were still
Yeah.
complaining about Nixon in the 80s. You'd watch like sitcoms from the 80s, and they would be talking like Family Ties would mention Nixon.
when I was a kid,
So-
I got this one of the books I liked. There was a thing called the Book of List. I don't know if you ever seen that.
Is
Yeah,
it
it's
one
this
where you
list.
make lists? I have a book of
No,
lists.
you don't make it. It's
Ask you
like
questions.
no, it was just a reference book, but it was just kind of fun.
Okay.
Like, what are the top 10 tallest mountains in the world? They have geographic. Then they'd have like the top most earning movies and whatever. And they did a poll back then. This was in the 70s, the most hated people in history. And this was like 76 or something. And Nixon was number one over Hitler. So that
Why?
just, yeah,
Why did
well,
they hate him so much?
because of Watergate and all
Uh,
that. And which
Isn't that
is,
like nothing compared to the stuff politicians do nowadays?
yeah, supposedly he was involved or helped cover up during the campaign. A couple of associates supposedly broke into the Watergate hotel to bug the Democrats so they could listen in to their campaign strategy. Not that it mattered because Nixon was going to win anyway. But compared to all the corruption we see today, that's just so mild. But
Hmm.
it was pretty, it's like Gordon Liddy and all that. So he had to resign from that. So I don't know why the hippies really hated him, but he actually ended the Vietnam War and normalized relationship
China.
with China. So I'm not really quite sure the hatred they had for him, but they really did hate him too.
What did
But I
his
think the
VP
media was a
do?
little bit more professional back then than they are now.
What did his VP do? Remember, he got in trouble. Didn't he have to resign?
Yeah, Agnew or whatever.
Yeah, Spiro Agnew.
Spiro Agnew,
What did he
yeah.
do
I'm
exactly?
not really quite sure. I'd have to look that up. I forget the exact charges, but he resigned
I
on
heard
that. So
somebody say that he was kind of like in insurance for Reagan or for Nixon too, because nobody liked him. He was kind of like Kamala Harris.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I'd heard somebody say that, but I don't really know anything about him except that he was forced to resign.
and then he got Gerald Ford, who became president after he resigned. And Gerald Ford was, he was just kind of like a normie type of Republican. And yeah, he actually then ran for the nomination against Reagan and won. Remember that?
And it was a close race, I
It
believe.
really was, and it was real dispiriting to Reagan. But then, then after 4 years, Reagan ran and became the nominee, and rest is history. So,
Reagan was the president through my whole childhood, pretty much.
but yeah,
And then Clinton.
Trump really has been viciously attacked and just crazy, and we'll talk a little bit about that. This whole on my Gumroad, and I'm sorry for the people in Gumroad who weren't able to see me tonight because of the mix-up with Gumroad, but. We talked about the whole literally Hitler stuff, and it's just so ridiculous. And you think they would have beaten this Hitler thing to death, but they still pull it out every year.
Yeah, it's stupid. I don't think anybody cares.
Well, I showed today on my show they had these undecided voters in Pennsylvania, and no one cared about that literally Hitler bullshit that they're
Oh,
pulling up.
I forgot to tell you, I talked to Adam tonight, my old co-host, Adam.
Hmm.
He called me, and he hasn't watched the news in over a year.
Wow.
He didn't even know. He said he stopped watching all of it, and he didn't know about the cat. They're eating the cats and dogs. He didn't know any details really about Trump getting shot. Like, it was bizarre. And he was like, really? And I told him about the McDonald's thing, and he thought I was like lying to him. And I said, no, it really happened. Trump worked at McDonald's to troll Kamala Harris.
Did he
And he
know
was
that Biden stepped down or whatever?
I don't know. I forgot to ask him. Oh, I guess I'm assuming he did because he knew that Kamala was
Yeah.
but still, because he'll hear things he said at work. So he's not, I guess, totally in the dark, but he didn't know a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. He didn't watch the debates or anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just like, wow. I said, you missed like kind of a fun year for politics, really.
Yeah, it's been a lot of happenings. And I think we're still going to get some. We got a election coming
People
in
are going to
here.
remember this decade.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
like later, people are going to talk about. Do you remember when Kamala ran against like Trump and people
Well,
make
the
jokes
last
about
time
it?
Trump was in was wild, nonstop. It could be that way too. Do you think? I guess I should ask you. Do you think Trump will win?
Yes, that's what I told Adam too, because
Yeah.
he didn't think he would, and because he didn't know all of the stuff going on, and he was surprised that I said that, and I said, yeah,
Well, he's winning in the polls in all the battleground states, but I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm still, it's not like he's winning by a ton in all these battleground states. And the Democrats, their motto is by any means necessary. So they're fine with cheating if they can get away with it. So I'm just, I think he will because it seems like a lot of the major players are acting like he's going to be president, including the Democrats. And I don't think they care for Kamala that much. But you never know. I mean, it could still go either way. So it's going to be a close race.
don't you think even maybe some of the Democrats are kind of scared of her being president, though? Like I mean, can you imagine her trying to talk to Putin or anybody? I mean, she doesn't have good answers. She's not a leader.
Yeah, but
Is
I
that
look
what
at
we
this.
really want representing the US? It's like, okay, the US is totally gone now. We're
Well,
like some of these European countries that have these
I don't.
women in charge, like New Zealand and
Yeah,
places
it's
like
like
that.
Jim Goad said. It's like the presidency, or was it Jim Goad? That's just like a
Yeah.
Walmart greeter.
Yeah, he said that.
And there is you could say that with Kamala, but with Joe Biden, we have a Alzheimer's patient basically as a leader.
I know
So Kamala's dumb.
uh,
They'll have the people behind the scenes really running things, kind of like with Biden now. But she is embarrassing, that's for sure. And it's really how this always ends up in democracy in the circus. And I'm not surprised about that. I mean,
it
she's
is
just a
like a
horrible,
circus.
in her pantsuit and how she got her positions through sex, and she's stupid, and she hates white people, and it's just the whole
She
nine
hates
yards.
Christians
Yeah, she does, and I don't even know what her marriage like. She's married to that Jewish guy, but they don't seem to
with
get
his
along that
weird
well.
daughter. Have you seen
Yeah,
his daughter?
what you heard is supposedly they haven't been publicizing it much because the media always covers for the Democrats, but supposedly he bitch slapped some woman years
Oh
ago.
yeah, I heard about it.
Tony Rams, historical view of Fort Sumter. Scott Greer on Tim Pool's show this morning argued that we're not at Fort Sumter's level yet. We need street level violence like the Bleeding Kansas event. We still haven't reached that level yet. Uh, yeah, I mean, if we have a civil war in the United States, it'll be more like Spain had in the 1930s. It won't be like the United States in the 1860s. That was very much different. That civil war was really more of a war of secession, where the South had before the Civil War happened, states had more power by far than the federal government. And technology was different. People, you were born in a state. Typically, you lived your whole life in that state. Your family was there. You had your roots there. And they had their loyalty more to the state. And so it was a bunch of states pulling out, and they had their state militia, and they had a structure there that would set up for a civil war. Whereas I don't see a civil war happening where, like, Arkansas isn't a war against California or something like that.
No,
I just don't see that happening. So it's a different type of thing. I would say it's more like Spain than it is American Civil War. So I don't think that analogy is that good of a one. So I do agree with Tim Pool that we're not at Fort Sumter's levels yet, but at the same time, it's a different situation. I do think there are some parallels. Like before the Civil War, you had the abolitionists. They were kind of the SJWs of the time. And we have a lot of people that want to abolish the white race now, and they're pretty radical. And so there is that. But part of me thinks too, there could be, maybe it's wishful thinking. I'll ask Sasha this, but to me, I've sensed, and I'll use a Kamala term, vibe. I get the vibe now that the whole wokeness has kind of petered out from where it was. I'm not saying it's gone, but it just seems to have lost a lot of energy, and there seems to be a lot of pushback on that whole thing by not just white people, but a lot of people. Do you get that sense this year?
Yeah, I think it's because everybody made fun of the woke stuff because it's stupid. And people, I don't know, if you start making fun of stuff, then people tend to not want to be part of it.
Well, and a couple of things I saw this year that really kind of clued me in, because usually before every June, I'm like, oh my God, everyone's prepared for the onslaught of the homosexual flag on every corporation. And this year, they really were subdued. A lot of corporations didn't have it. I was surprised. And Sacha and I like to go to the movies. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the movies anymore, I think we've started to see a lot more movies that you have a lot more whites in the movies. It used to be all magical black people or homosexuals. And those movies now are bombing. And I think despite how woke and left-wing Hollywood is, they still like to make money. So I think they're starting to rein that in a little bit. I don't know. Do you see that?
Yeah, I think so, because we've seen a lot of good movies this year, and a lot of them weren't really woke.
Well, I won't see a movie if like that they had that. What was that one? There's a couple bomb things that bombed. They had a superhero movie that I don't watch those comic book movies
Oh, with
anyway.
those girls,
With like a white girl, a
the
mystery race
Marvels,
girl, and a black girl or something.
the Marvels, I think.
Yeah, and it bombed big time.
Well,
Three
it looks
empowered
stupid.
women, and it it, that was an example. And then there's that movie of those two homosexuals that had the Asian daughter, supposed to be some horror
Oh, Knock
movie.
at the Cabin, I think is what it was called.
That bombed huge too. And then there was another movie, I forget the name of it. Was it The Forge? Where it's all these blacks that were trying to be like science fantasy
Yeah,
or
I think
something.
that was out recently, The Forge.
It's already gone though. I mean,
No, I
it
think
was.
it's playing somewhere, or was. Maybe it's not now.
I think that bombed. So a lot of these shows are really bombing, and in games that has happened. A lot of these woke games are flopping. There was a big game that only lasted a couple of weeks. They've spent millions of dollars on it, but they had, instead of like pretty female characters, because a lot of nerdy guys, I mean, they poor guys, they never get a date, so they want to see hot girls in the the video games. And instead, they had all these big obese black women as characters to play. And so no one wants to play that. It's one of those shoot 'em up games,
Yeah,
Everyone liked that. What was her name? Laura
Tomb
Croft,
Raider.
Tomb
Yeah.
Raider, big tits, small waist. And now they have these big black women, and no one wants to see that. So
My friend had the Xena game for like
mhm.
PlayStation, and that was one of those games where she was like all scantily dressed, and my friend liked to holler at the screen and stuff. It was kind of funny.
You know
Did you
what's
ever play
funny?
that game? It was kind of
What
fun.
is it called?
Xena Warrior Princess, like the TV
No,
show. You
no.
had a chakra and you like hit people with it. It was pretty fun.
Well, I saw some of the new games even that are good, like Baldur's Gate 3. They have a lot of homosexual stuff in it. And have you heard of mods? That's where you can kind of
Hmm.
change the game, people, the developers. And there's one of the popular mods is called No Alphabet. And what it does is instead of having two homosexuals have a relationship, it changes the sex of one, so it's a normal relationship.
Oh, that's cool.
And they're doing that also with like these big obese ugly women. So instead of big fat black woman, it will change it to be like a pretty blonde girl or something, So those are really getting popular, and I think we're going to see more of that. So I get the sense, and this is getting back to the whole Civil War thing. Is there maybe a little bit of maybe I'm being too optimistic, but there could be People are tired of the whole thing. And I don't know. Do you think if Trump gets in, the left is going to fire up Anti-Fog in and BLM to burn down cities, or they just ran out of gas?
I bet they will. Like, they're going to be pissed off. I don't know.
But Anti-Fog, most of them were transgender, and a lot of them probably have already committed suicide. So there's probably that's a lot of them gone.
Well, they could get BLM out again.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I just don't feel the energy now. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe there won't be.
I hope so.
I hope so. I think people are tired of it, and I hope Trump gets a little tougher if he does win, and just try to play nice with everyone.
I'm afraid he's not going to. When he started talking about like, oh, I might pardon Hunter Biden, I'm just like, why? Why would you do that?
And that's the weird
wouldn't
thing
do it
about
for you.
that the left is they project like, oh, he's going to weaponize the Department of Justice, and that's what they've done constantly against Trump, and not only Trump, other people. If they don't like you, they send the FBI to your house and everything.
I almost think Trump's too nice.
Yeah,
Like he should be more of a dick to these people, but I think
I
Trump wants to be like kind of like get along with. I mean, that's a good trait to have, but not so much in politics, really. Not with as evil as they are.
no, these are people that need to be removed.
I mean, they
Hard.
try to
And
put him in prison.
I know.
So he should.
I think
not
we're
forget
at the
all
point
that.
we need to fight fire with fire. That they need to be, you know how they use lawfare? They need to face lawfare. What happened to Alex Jones? It'd be funny to say Rachel Maddow sued because she said fake stuff and caused emotional
Well,
trauma.
she should. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so it'd be and have her bank account seized. We need to start doing the same thing that they do.
yeah, because they'll never stop unless
No,
you start doing it to them.
what we do, we always, when we're in power, they appeal to us. Oh, you guys got to play fair and nice. And then when they're in power, they do every dirty trick in the world.
Right.
And so I have a feeling you're right. I don't think Trump's really going to do shit to go after them.
Trump's old and tired. He's not going to want to fight with them.
Do you
I would
think if he gets in, he'll make it 4 years, or are we going to have President
I don't know.
JD
Trump
Vance?
seems to have a lot of energy, though. How
Yeah.
long? How old did his parents live to be?
I don't know, but still, when you get near 80, you know, it could
But he's
change
got
quick.
access to good health care and shit too. All the presidents lived a long time. Like for real, look at the presidents. Reagan lived to be like 93. I think Ford lived to 90. Carter's 100. Who else? George H.W. He lived to be pretty old. I think he was in his 90s.
Mhm.
And most of their wives lived to be really old. So they get good food and, you know, they
Well,
get
that's
good
true. Yeah, that is. Yeah.
doctors. So and Trump's lived like that most of his life. He does like McDonald's and stuff like that, but I bet he eats good food too.
Yeah, that's a little bit more of a meme. So, yeah, I think that could be. It's interesting, but I don't think assuming we have the Trump, I think he will get it back the way it was at the border, so the illegals will go down.
But will they deport anybody? That's the big question.
I don't really
they
think
will.
so. I think they'll do things to try to cut off some of the welfare and stuff.
For
Part of the
sure.
problem is Trump gets in a battle with these local governments like California and New York that try to give people all this shit. So he just need to be tough and cut them off from federal funds if they do that.
He should put Ann Coulter in his cabinet, and she could be head of like immigration or whatever.
I was thinking Art the Clown. That guy could take care of them.
Yeah, but then he'd take care of us too.
But yeah, we'll see. First, he's got to get in, and while I'm cautiously optimistic, I'm not really. I'm not like 100% that he's going to win. I'm like, I think the official betting line is 60%, and I think that's about right. I think I'm about 60% chance he's going to win. It's just that you never know what shenanigans the Democrats will pull. So
I think he's going to win. People don't, even black people don't like her.
yeah,
I saw that video that somebody sent you about them talking about how she was fake, and I think people pick up on that. No matter what the race, people know like she's fake. Because I told you I work with people, like a white lady and Hispanic guy, and they both don't like her, and they don't follow politics, and they voted. At least I know the lady voted Obama, and she's just like, I don't like this woman, and I kind of red pilled her on her. And a lot of people are like that. They don't know. And then they're like, man, this person's not, I don't want them to be the president, or there's something off. And then you're like, yeah, she slept her way to the top and all these things they don't know, but people know she's fake.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's a possibility she could still win, but right now the early voting, a lot of states have early voting, and Trump's doing better than they expected in early voting. Typically, the Democrats do better at that. But the Republicans, I'll give them this. Instead of just complaining about the ballot harvesting, they decided to implement some of their own, which is smart. And so I think their ground game is a little bit smarter in these battleground states than they were in the, what was it, the 2022? You remember they were supposed to have the red wave, and that
Oh, and they
didn't
didn't have
happen.
it.
And they always have a bad, the Republicans, a ground game, but I think they're a little bit better in the battleground states. I mean, they don't bother in states like Arkansas, so we don't see it. But so that's, I mean, the indications, and he could even win the popular vote, which would be amazing. So I could see him having a big night and easily winning a landslide, but it could be close too, or maybe she could win. I'm not really.
There are a lot of stupid people, though. You
They
got to
are.
think it's a lot of people that don't know, like college kids that they brainwash.
Yeah.
Because normal people don't like her. And then these crazy older, like boomer type ladies, they seem to like her too. Like that old lady that was sitting at the table. And they're like, what do you think about Kamala? And she goes, oh, it's so wonderful. We're going to have our first lady president. It looked like some old lady they wheeled out of the nursing home. Did you see
Yeah.
that video?
Yeah, you remember when Hillary was supposed to be the first female president, and they had the glass ceilings be shattered, and when she started to lose, she was in her hotel room and she got drunk, and
Choked out.
they couldn't even get her down to give the concession speech. She had to send some other guy to do it. That was the most hilarious thing ever.
Well, I bet she was humiliated.
Yes. Well, because she went in really thinking it was all done, because all the experts, that's why we have to be careful on our side now, because this was even worse with her. She was like a 90% chance to win, they said, going in.
But everybody hated her too, though. Like, really, even Democrats hated her. I had friends, and they're like, yeah, we don't really want to vote for her, but that seems to be a lot, though, people take for granted too. Like, I know, like, people on the left, and I guarantee you they don't like Joe Biden. Well, even the shitlibby guy that we know, he didn't like Joe Biden. He wanted somebody else. A lot of people liked Bernie.
Yeah, I think Joe Biden, one of the things that helped him is people in the middle saw him as, oh, he'll just be a moderate. He'll be like the old grandpa, just
like a Reagan type or something.
Kind of, maybe a little bit more left of Reagan, but just sort of the
lefty, yeah.
Yeah, they got the grandpa fellow that
just
get rid of all the
tell stories.
Yeah, all shucks, and instead we get this rabid anti-white pushing weird transgender shit everywhere. It's like, what the fuck? I know. So we got like the most extremist president ever out of him when he kind of ran as all shucks. I mean, he always has stupid stories about corn pop and everything, but okay, he's a kind of a rambling grandpa. But,
well, that's why it was kind of funny, the corn pop stuff.
But see, that's changed now, and so I don't think Kamala's, she in the Senate was rated the most left wing of all the senators.
Even left of Bernie.
Yeah, because she's San Francisco, and so she's trying to pull that back now because she knows that looks bad, but she can't answer her questions. Like even on fracking, are you for it or against it? She keeps flip-flopping on that question, and that not only her answer hurts her, but because she won't pick a position, I think it's bad for her and it's not looking good. So, but you never know. I've learned to expect the unexpected. So,
who would you rather have it running, her or Hillary again? Like, who do you hate more? Who would you least like to see as the president out of those two?
I think Hillary would be more dangerous because she's smarter than Kamala. And Hillary just has a Madame Defarge quality about her, just a evil bitch that wants to destroy everything. Hillary's not stupid, whereas Kamala is stupid.
When did Hillary become so evil? Like when she was younger, wasn't she like a Goldwater girl?
Yeah, and then even Clinton wasn't that radical, really. Bill,
Well,
he's
when
from
I
here
remember
in
when she was
Arkansas.
first lady, she wasn't like she didn't seem that horrible. You know what I mean? You almost kind of felt sorry for her, like, oh, your husband's like this
Well,
snake.
even then, when she was president, remember, because she'd go, "I'm going to be like co-president" and all that bullshit.
Oh, see, I don't remember. I was too
Yeah,
young when they first got in.
yeah, I remember that in the '90s. She thought she was going to be the co-president and really be involved more than just a traditional first lady. So she was a real bitch back then. I think um, she just got in that scene, and she kind of got obviously because Bill was fucking everyone else, so she just got bitter and got involved with extremist politics because they don't live together,
Right.
or they didn't. She lived in New York and he lived in Arkansas. I don't know where he lives now, but they don't. They have multiple homes and they usually don't live together. Well, I heard that even Kamala and her husband don't live together, and to be fair, mostly Trump and Melania don't live together. It's weird, these famous people. Like, the only people I think that live together. Well, Tim Walz and his psycho wife. Wasn't she like masturbating when during the riots? She was getting off on that.
Yeah, I
She
could
was a
smell the tires.
Yeah. She's just like in having an orgasm thinking about that. That's a weird couple because he's got some weird issues with her too. Because I honestly don't think he's got that William Gacy vibe, or he doesn't necessarily embrace the gay lifestyle and his mannerisms, and he's officially straight. But I do think he's attracted to younger, you know, boys. I can't prove that, but I just
Yeah,
get
there's
that
something
vibe from
off
him.
with him and her.
And probably the best marriage, and I know that will trigger a lot of people because it's interracial, is J.D. Vance and his wife. They seem to really like each other pretty much. So.
They do.
I think that's probably the best marriage. But yeah, a lot of these marriages are marriages of convenience or whatever, you know.
Maybe because
So
they just don't get along, so it's easier just not to live together. I have a friend, and her husband died, I don't know, about a year ago, but they didn't live together. Like
yeah,
she lived in Illinois and he lived in Wisconsin, and they saw each other like on weekends and stuff, but she said he was in the military and he had PTSD, and I guess he had night terrors and stuff, and it's hard for her to like sleep with him and because he'd freak out. So they just lived apart, and she kind of had her own thing going. It's like, I guess whatever.
was it
We
an
don't
open marriage though, or is it just
know.
no?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
that's always kind of weird. These people like Nick Rekieta and stuff that have these open. Is it what do they call it? A
A
polycule or something?
polycule.
I never heard that term. They used to call it an open marriage or something. That seems kind of weird. It never seems to work because then they end up jealousy and someone ends up with someone else, you know. So
Well, I wondered if his wife would even really wanted to do that, or she just did it for
of course she
him.
did not want to because that was a younger girl he's sleeping with. Did you say he got her pregnant or whatever or no?
No, that was a rumor, but I
Oh,
don't know if any truth came out of it. I think I heard that on the
is he? Who's
casino.
he sleeping with? Who's the younger girl's name?
Uh, oh God, what is her name?
It's not April, is it?
Yeah, that's it, April.
April.
I remember the other guy, the steel toe morning guy, that was her husband. But see, her husband was banging Rekieta's wife
Hmm.
too, so they swapped.
There's like swingers or whatever, huh?
But now he's gone and it's just the girl.
Oh, okay. So he's got like two of them, huh?
Right.
Yeah, that usually doesn't work out well in the long run.
Kino
So,
Did a video about him tonight, and I started to listen to it, or it showed up on the clip channel.
is there any news about? I kind of got out of the drama with Sticks or anything. Is he?
Yeah, they did a video about Sticks, like that was on the clip channel too.
Oh,
How
recent
his
or the
charges
old
didn't
one?
get dropped. It's a pretty short video. It's only like 12 minutes.
Oh, okay. Because
I wish
he's
we
gone
could have
back
a
to
drama
Vermont.
show.
Yeah,
That'd be
it's
fun.
kind of.
Me and Mosca have talked about it, but every time like we try to do a show, it never works out. But it's like if we could do like a Kino Casino type show where we just trash people. We probably couldn't do it on YouTube though.
No, you know that girl. She got demonetized. Stardust. You remember her? I had
Oh
a
yeah, I
guest
forgot
once.
about her.
She got demonetized on YouTube because she does that drama stuff mostly, but she does it more like on the left or whatever. The problem is when you get in the drama sphere, you got to be careful because like Styx is always threatening to sue everyone, and other people will do that. And then they will like flag you on YouTube for bullying or whatever.
Yeah, the drama people have kind of thin skin about stuff.
But it is entertaining. So, but
I
it
never
is.
understood that flagging and shit. I think that's wrong. I don't think we
I
should do
do
that.
too. I don't. I just yeah. I think that's pretty
Like
stupid.
when people were getting swatted and all that a couple years ago.
Well, you remember
Ralph got swatted like 20 times.
I got swatted at my old house. It wasn't me.
Yeah. But
It's
still,
kind
that's
of.
scary.
I know.
You
I was
know,
like.
cops can be trigger happy, and it's like, I don't
Well,
know.
that's why they did it. I guess they arrested one of the guys that did a lot of the swattings. They tracked him down or
Did
something.
on 4chan or something that I hear somebody said that, or Kiwi Farms, or
I don't know who the guy was, but he did a lot of swatting, and the FBI tracked him down, so he's facing a big prison sentence, which I think you deserve. If you do that, you should go to jail a long time. So it's what an idiots that do that sort of thing.
Mhm.
I've never messed with anyone. I've never flagged a video. I've never.
Either. If I don't like a video, I just don't watch it.
I block people sometimes on
Oh,
X or
I've done
something.
that, but
Yeah, but sometimes we end up blocking people. We don't. I don't block many people, but sometimes people are just like crazy or something, and I just Ramsey cock, Ramsey cock. You know, and then okay, you can need to go on here. You're not.
right.
It's like why have that if you're going to be that? Yeah, getting into the movie stuff. One of the movies I saw, we went to, it was a release, and I never saw the original. And I'm sure all you guys saw it. Is Saw. I saw the movie Saw, and I liked it. It was funny because I always heard how gory it was, but by today's standards, it's not really especially gory.
They get worse though,
Yeah,
like
but
as it goes along.
I'm talking the original.
Hmm.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was. I don't know. You know, I don't think there was a classic or anything like that, but I thought it was pretty good. Um, what's your, what did you think of the first Saw movie and
I
the
liked it.
franchise in general?
I like the franchise. I saw it when it came out 20 years ago,
Hmm.
and I enjoyed it then because it was kind of a surprise. You didn't think, you thought the whole time it was that guy that had the gun
Hmm.
up to the wife and the kid. I forgot what was the guy's name. I forgot, but you think he's the
Yeah.
jigsaw killer, and then you find out like no, he's got a tape too, and he's got to do this or he's gonna be poisoned. And then when the guy gets up, the body gets up off the floor. You're like, whoa, it's something you didn't really expect. It was different.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. So, I don't know. I get a lot of movies I'm okay with, but it's not, I don't think I'd watch it again. You know.
It's one of those movies. I didn't watch it for years, and then I watched it last year right after we saw 10. But I don't think I had watched it since it came out.
There's a
I'd say
lot of movies that I mean, there's different categories of movies. I guess there's movies I totally hate and I just find it a horrible experience. Then there's some movies that I don't necessarily hate, but I find boring. I keep looking at my watch. And then there's a lot of movies that are just, they're entertaining. I mean, I don't hate it. It's entertaining. But then once I leave the theater, I don't think about it. I forget about it. Then there's really good movies that really engross me in the movies. Then there's the classic movies that I watch over multiple times and I think about. I would rate this kind of the middle of the road type of movie where it was fine. I enjoyed it, but I didn't really think about it afterwards or anything. So I don't think I'd watch it again. Not because I'm offended by it or anything. It's just, you see it once, that's enough.
Oh, you should watch the sequels next because they're
Well,
pretty
we
good.
saw one sequel together. That's how we got doing this because Sasha and I, she took me to see Saw 10. Is that it? 10?
Yeah, 10, the one that came
And
out
that
last
was
year.
actually, I actually preferred that one over the original, to be honest. It was pretty good.
I
So
thought 10 was the best one.
yeah, I did
It was
too.
a prequel because they got more money and they could do like more with it than the
Yeah,
original. Because the original was pretty low budget.
right. And so that's what we're doing. And then the Halloween's coming up. And one of the things I've noticed and I've read online a lot, it's kind of sad that because of diversity is probably one of the big reasons is trick or treating is disappearing in many neighborhoods.
That's too bad.
I remember when I lived in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, It was a nice suburban neighborhood. We always had a lot of trick or treating. All the little kids come out, and then all of a sudden it started to die because all these diversity from North Tulsa, they would bus in their, the usual suspects with no costumes on or anything. Just give me candy, and it just ruins it. And I think trick or treating and Halloween's a very white holiday, and it doesn't really translate well to other cultures.
No. Yeah, it's too bad. That was always the best thing about Halloween. It's getting to go get candy.
And years ago, we could like put out a bowl of candy if you're not in the house and just say take one. And people, as a high trust society, they would do that. But when you have diversity, they're just going to take the whole bowl. That's just the way it is. That's one of the reasons, I like separate homelands. We can't live with them. We're just too different than these people. So, yeah, it's sad to see trick or treating going. I had a lot of good memories as a kid, trick or treating. We had a lot of urban myths back in the day that of people poisoning candy and all razor blade and apples and all that nonsense. Like I
Yeah, they
never
had
got,
that when I was a kid too.
which is kind of ridiculous. 'Cause even when I trick or treated, I never got an apple. That's kind of dumb.
Wouldn't you notice that too?
Who would put a razor blade in an
Anyway.
apple? How would you do that? They probably
Well,
cut
and you would
yourself.
notice it'd have to stick out
I
of the
know.
apple, wouldn't
Or
it?
could
I
you
mean,
imagine poisoning candy? Like, hey, Sasha, let's poison some candy tonight. Like, yeah, that's really going to work out well.
yeah.
It was always an urban myth, but it really caught on because I remember as a kid, you could take your candies to the fire department. They would scan it for like metal, and people really believe that
I
urban
remember
myth.
that.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
there's a lot of urban myths out there that people believe, but that isn't really true. So,
It's sad that
uh,
kids don't go trick or treating anymore and you don't see much going on. I was trying to find something for us to do tomorrow with our friend,
mhm,
and Mosk is coming over, and Brandon, and we're all going to go do something Halloweenish. That's just the
mhm.
goal. A corn maze, just something for the fall or Halloween. There's not shit going on. There's like 3 haunted houses, and none of them are in Fayetteville. I think there's one haunted house, but it's only here on the 30th and 31st at some sorority. Like everything else is like kind of far away, and there's just not much going on.
I think Halloween is kind of in our genetic memory. The Jews always say they have the genetic memory of the Holocaust. I think we have a genetic memory of like Britain and the fog and kind of gloomy. And I think just Halloween resonates with us as a people. And it's just really, something about it is kind of magical. As a kid, I always loved Halloween, and
I
you
think it's
get
magical
candy.
now. It just,
Yeah, it's just a very white holiday that because we're becoming less white, other cultures don't really celebrate it.
you would
And
think they would like it too. I mean, I
well,
don't
they
know.
like free candy, but they don't like giving out candy, so that's the problem. So it just, you all have to participate in it.
People are
So
too cheap to buy the candy.
yeah, so it's sad when you don't have a high trust society with common bonds. This is what happens. So that is a sad
That's
stripe.
what I want to do. I want to pass out candy. I've always thought that would be fun, but I've always lived in apartments. And then one year I left my light on, my porch light
Hmm.
on. Somebody knocked and it was kids wanting
Oh,
candy. And I felt
I
so bad because I didn't have
yeah.
any. I just forgot to turn the light
I
out.
used to do that a lot when I lived in suburbia. I have a lot of great memories. My kids would go out trick or treating, and I'd be the one that passed out candy. And it's really cute, especially you have because sometimes the parents, it depends on their ages. When they're real little, the parents would walk them up to the door. But when they're kind of in between, teenagers yet, but still a little younger, the parents would stay at like the sidewalk at the street, and the kids would walk up. And they say trick or treat, and you say, "Oh, who are you supposed to be?" And you try to guess their costume. And usually the kids were real polite. They would say, thank you." And it was really nice. But again, with diversity, we can't have nice things because, the usual suspects, they either steal candy or they steal it from other kids. They can't control themselves. So, the usual. But yeah, I've always loved Halloween. I've always told people I love it because I like this time of year. Remember as a kid in Colorado, it's cool by that time, and but it's not super cold, and it's just a lot of fun. You got candy, and that was neat,
The
and
Great Pumpkin was always on TV.
And I always
Like
had cool. I
the
was
best
raised.
peanut
I
special.
was raised by my dad, and he was cool. He didn't care if we ate candy. My brother would go out and because even back then you had some of those parents had to stick up their ass, no sugar. You get it wasn't so much anti-sugar that thing because of whatever the diet. It was more you get cavities. By the way, that's a myth, but that was an urban myth they gave that if you ate sugar you get cavities.
Man, we would get so much candy. Me and my
Yeah,
friend, we would go all around our neighborhood, and then her mom would drive us like across town, and we'd go to like some other neighborhoods. We get like 3 huge bags full of candy.
yeah.
It
I
was
remember as a
awesome.
kid going trick or treating and not have like a mask on. I just remember my face getting sweaty from the mask.
It was so much fun going. I went
Yeah.
even like in my early 20s. Like me and some of my friends went, and we were like way too old to go. But people were nice, and they gave us candy, and we dressed up.
Yeah, usually I didn't give adults candy. You had to be a kid to
Oh,
get
we look
candy.
like kids. Like we could
Yeah.
pass as teenagers.
So, yeah, it was a good thing, and I always enjoyed it. So,
It was
it
funny. I started. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
well, where I live now, or I guess, well, you'll be living soon. This is a nice demographic area, but the problem is I live in the country and everything's so spread out that there's no real easy way for trick or treaters to come here because it's just on the mountain dirt roads and you have a long walk everywhere. So I've never got trick or treaters where I live now. I think trick or treat was just typical. You saw it in the movie E.T. It was America Suburbia is where it was. That was the prime
But
of it.
we had it too when I was a kid, and we didn't have. I didn't live in a suburb.
You kind of did, didn't Rockford. I mean, you lived in a
I never
city.
considered it a suburb.
No, but it was like that. I've been there, and you had your lawns and sidewalks and houses next to each other. That's what I mean. And so that was, and I think that was the prime demographic. That was the prime age. I was saying the 70s and 80s. It was really popular because again, we were mostly a white nation, and people knew each other, and kids would go out. And I don't know if kids even care about that anymore because they're all online, or I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
I don't
So
know.
yeah, that was a little thing about that. The other thing that was in the we talked briefly about is this whole literally Hitler thing, and I talked about this on a roundtable. And again, guys, if you're a Gumroad's having technical issues. I apologize for that. I'm going to get off Gumroad, but it's just so hard to move everyone. But if you're unhappy with Gumroad, just subscribe to me on Twitter. You get the same thing. It's easier for me anyway. Um, but yeah, what do you think about this whole calling everyone Hitler? Do you think that's just, we talked a little bit about that, but I don't think that resonates anymore.
I don't think anybody cares.
Yeah.
Oh,
I,
let me show you a picture. I started watching that Chucky TV show, and
uh-huh.
we're talking about Halloween costumes, and he dresses up because he's going to go out and kill people like Chucky does. But
Yeah.
his costume is really funny. So let me present, and I'll show you. He's wearing a Hello Kitty mask. Can you see that?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's pretty cute. Mhm.
And he went around trick or treating wearing that. It was funny. And this lady goes, "Oh, it's Hello Kitty."
Yeah. It was, yeah.
God, this sucks. I'm losing my voice.
Well, we'll probably wrap up. We've been doing this an hour, and I know you're losing your voice, and I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow. I'm kind of tired
Me
myself, so
too.
I'm gonna crash afterwards. But it's been fun, guys, having this. We do this every week, so make sure you join up and subscribe and all that stuff, so you're part of this. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I will be back on Monday, and then only one week. Then on Tuesday night, I'm going to be doing an election stream. Should be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a wild time. So we'll do this as a community. So thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
Bye.